policy, the government's cultural policy highlights 4 keystones and you mentioned it, access, capacity, excellence, and fostering cultural industries. And I'd like to talk about access. I'm wondering how the minister or the department staff expect to improve access when, in fact, groups are able to offer less programming. So I'm just going to highlight the Alberta Craft Council that did a stunning exhibit as a way of driving home their point recently, in which there was nothing on the walls. There was nothing displayed. There was no sculpture, because they wanted to show the exhibition with the empty walls, highlighting the effects of the cuts in programming. And somebody's going to jump up here and say, we didn't cut it. Yes, but not increasing it. Even cost of living is, in effect, a cut. And there were cuts. They were in the tens of thousands range here, but that matters. So how access is going to be, that keystone of access is going to be achieved in this year, how the keystone of capacity is going to be achieved. Now, I note specifically from 2009 to 2011, the department spent nearly $12 million on cultural policy initiatives, and that's coming out of their annual report on page 49. And the policy itself was announced as completed in 2008. So during the same period, the Alberta Foundation for the Arts spent a little more than $10 million on grants to individual artists, and considerably, which is less than the amount that was spent on the work for the policy. So if you want to put it another way, about 1/4 of what the AFA provided in grants to the arts organizations. So can the minister explain the balance here between the amount of money that was spent on policy initiatives with respect to capacity and the amount that was actually spent on developing capacity through grants to the arts? I'm curious about that. The business plan also includes as a priority initiative developing a strategic plan and policy objectives to address the future direction of creative industries in Alberta. That's in the business plan, page 42, initiative 1.3. Yep. And it's striking me as a bit odd to see, because we've heard a lot about how there's been plans and consultation and blueprints and the spirit of community spirit policy has all been developed. So I'm a little curious why there's a business plan that includes a priority to develop a plan. And maybe you could explain that. How can we expect to see the strategic plan and the explicit policy objectives from that? I'm going to go forward now to cultural policy integration. The Ministry's most recent annual report states that aspects of the policy have been successfully integrated into the work of government. That appears on page 12 of the Minister's annual report. I'm finding that a bit vague as a statement of results. So could the Minister detail what success means in this context, and how I could expect to see the cultural policy integrated into the work of government in this year that we're looking at? The minister often sort of last year said, well, we're doing the train in Vancouver, and we're doing the $6 million to support the Alberta artists that performed in the square, and I'm wondering if that's what he's including as successfully integrating the cultural policy into the work of government, or if there's something else that's happening that I'm not aware of. How do I see this integration in the rest of government? Is it something tangible, or has everybody just agreed that it's a good idea? And the last 2 pieces of this are the competitiveness of last year, the minister said that the budget cuts were made with an eye to increasing the competitiveness of our cultural industries in the future. And that was on, in Hansard on page CS 260. So I guess I'm looking to see how the minister can explain how cuts were supposed to increase competitiveness, and since the future is now, could he give us an example of the results of this strategy? How did cutting cultural industries result in them being more competitive? Or is there a cultural industry that's doing demonstrably better than it was as a result of these cuts? So, exactly what was happening. And the last piece of this is the cultural sector labour force. Now, last year I had talked to the minister about the 2004 labour market review for cultural workers, and I asked about how were we getting on with the next one. And in fact, in 2010, the Federal Cultural Human Resources Council published an additional cultural human resource study. And it's some of the GDP numbers that he's been using. We were not involved in the 2004 project, and I'm wondering if he can tell us who took the lead for Alberta in the 2010 project. Because what I was hearing was that since we identified no one, nobody got sent to participate in that particular survey. And I'm wondering if we were able to participate in it. So once again, it's federal government, Cultural Human Resources Council, publishing a cultural human resource study. Came out in 2010. And as a result, were we able to get any cultural workforce information that is usable in Alberta? And has that helped with the minister's competitiveness strategy? Maybe I could put it that way. I'm thinking we didn't get in on this one and they don't have numbers for us, but maybe I'm wrong, and I'm happy to have the minister tell me that. So I'll let him answer that sort of series of questions.
Honourable Minister.
Sure. The first one was access and how, because different organizations, and you mentioned the Alberta Craft Council. I know one of the things we have a great opportunity here is to take a leadership and tell the Albertans first and tell the rest of the world what a great cultural institutions we have, what great artists we have, and how we'd like to work together to foster that excellence. Now, the Alberta Craft Council, that was fantastic. They had a display and they sent out postcards. By the way, the postcard, that was I Love Alberta Arts. That's something we promoted out of our department. It's nice of them to take that and take the negative, because you know what? Why would they want to tell the good story? Why would they want to take the time to say, you know what? This is what we do for Alberta artists. This is what they represent. You should support us. You should come and buy more product, because this is fantastic. Our artists are not getting paid enough, and we need your support to come and do that. But no, and I would have been happy to help them with that. But in terms of access, most of our departments, in terms of the problems they've had, what we've had to focus on in the last 2 years is trying to do more with less, so that to become more efficient in our operations. And there is waste all around the board, and I'll get to some of that in a moment, because you brought that up with another question. And our council's integration in government. One of the things that we've had very successfully is Alberta Arts Days. We started that in 2008. In 2009, with help from the Premier's Council and the AFA, we were able to get the Minister of Education to go out and encourage all the K-12 schools in the province to participate. And I think we had over 80 of those participate. We had the Minister of Municipal Affairs send a letter out to all the libraries across Alberta asking them to participate. We had 142 libraries participate. Last year, in 2010, we did the exact same thing, and we increased that. We want every year to be more inclusive with Albertans, and this is encouraged by our Premier's Advisory Council. Culture has to be larger. Arts is a subset of that. Well, you've got to take people in their communities, the multicultural aspect, and make everybody, one of those 3.7 million people, feel welcome. So we did that. So we also partnered with not-for-profit community last year. The Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues were fantastic. That 151-member or 152-member organizations had their own functions. We hope to do that again here in Calgary, and we will continue to work through other departments and other organizations and municipalities. And I'd like to say the City of Grand Prairie put forward a motion, and they declared that they would put $5,000 towards their Arts Day program for 2011. In terms of cuts for competitiveness, I didn't say cuts will make us competitive. Cuts force us to be competitive. And I know that many of those organizations run lean and mean, but that's what we have to do. But in terms of our Alberta Film Advisory Committee, we focused on two things that we need to do to get the industry back up and employed as many people as possible, have as many productions here and generate as many dollars in Alberta as possible. And that was, we had to look at innovation. We had to look at what new technology can we be a leader in, that we can participate in, and that we can grow and have a niche market that is second to none in North America. And we thought that was HD and 3D technology. Then we looked at competitiveness, and that was a wide range of things. We had to look at our incentives. As we went to LA, we found out that our incentives weren't the problem, but we had other little niggling issues. There were the lack of a master agreement between unions and guilds and our producers, and they are working hard to be able to do that. We weren't working as a partnership. We weren't working as government and the unions and guilds and producers and our film commissioners and our post-secondary facilities. So we needed to do more of that. And we need to be more efficient in the way that we utilize the money that was in the Alberta Multimedia Development Fund. And there's projects that we had there. There's genres that we probably shouldn't be funding. We don't fund sports. We don't fund news. We don't fund reality television. And there's some others that reportedly were given money on the belief that they were actually going to be seen. That was the premise by which they received money. And some of those didn't happen. So we're all working together to make sure that in a year of 2011 that we're going to actually have those union and guild membership working. Because we paid out $20 million almost last year and $34 million the year before. And there's still people that are sitting not working. So we need to work at efficiencies. It's a balance of Indigenous work and service work and all the different genres. But we have to make sure that we're making that money work for us and give us the best bang for the buck. And I'm happy to say that the industry is working together to make that happen today. And what else was I going to say? All right. And our Federal Human Resource Council, and who led that? I had a meeting with Minister Moore just last week, and we didn't get in on that one in 2010, but I talked to him after the FPT because we said we need to share a lot more resources amongst the provinces and with the federal government. So we've asked for a couple of different things. Them and the Canadian Tourism Commission. We want to get more information as to the economic impact for film, television, and digital, not just on the direct, but look at New Zealand, for instance, the Hobbit. They say that's $1 billion or $1.5 billion. But it's not just what's spent on salaries. It's not just what's spent in the hotels. It's not just what's spent on costumes. But how many people are coming to New Zealand now because they saw that movie? We know that Brits love to go to countries which they see in movies. And they hadn't had a lot of definite information on that, so we're working together with them on that. But he has said that information, when it comes forward, he will certainly share that with us. And it was Minister Moore, I will give him credit, because he was the one that made me realize what the percentage of our gross domestic product was in relationship to other industries. And Canada is like $46 billion. That's twice what agriculture is for the country. In Alberta, we're a little bit more flip side on that, but we've got to get past where we think that this is an expenditure. This is an investment. So we spend $20 million or $30 million, and what we're going to get out of it is a multitude of benefit. And I give you one exception, Inception. We got $13 million of economic benefit. It cost us $2 million. But we also got notoriety throughout Hollywood for our crews and our location, our professionalism, and that will leverage other projects, not just for Warner Brother, but for Disney and HBO and the like. Thank you.